contribution margin, as we would define it, is net revenue minus all of your variable costs, which includes your payment processor fee, your pick pack fee, your fulfillment, your cost of goods, minus your ad spend. So to get to those actual variable costs can be complicated. We've been talking a lot lately about the importance of contribution margin at the top of our hierarchy of metrics. And I wanted to give you all a little glimpse into how we track, measure, and report on contribution margin on a daily basis, because there's complexity here, right? Contribution margin, as we would define it, is net revenue minus all of your variable costs, which includes your payment processor fee, your pick pack fee, your fulfillment, your cost of goods, minus your ad spend. So to get to those actual variable costs can be complicated. But first, we have to think about creating an expectation of this number. And for us, that begins in what we call our growth map process, where we build a bottoms up forecast all the way to the P&L level with an expectation of revenue, spend, contribution margin every single day of the month. And so that forecast sets our expectation and allows us to go into Statlas and put in what we would call targets. So targets, or creating an expectation of data, is critical component to building an operating system where you can see how you're performing every day and understand the levers that would change it. So inside of Statlas, we can put in targets across these core metrics. If you've ever watched my hierarchy of metrics video, you'll know that these are the ones right here that we talk about. And we can do this not just on a monthly level, but we can do this all the way down to a daily level. So we have a daily expectation of revenue, ad spend, and contribution margin across the business. You'll notice for Bamboo Earth, these peaks where our weekends represent larger opportunity for both volume and contribution in the business. And so you can see the sequence that's saved there. So every day has an expectation of every dollar earned, spent, and contributed to the business. What that means is that as we come in and look at any given day, I come in and I wanted to look at Sunday, I can see how I performed relative to my expectation. So yesterday we did 40,000 in revenue against 18,000 in spend. And while MER looks down, what's really important here is that this isn't actually my driving indication. And this is why contribution margin is the goal. You can see we actually beat contribution margin by a lot. And the reason was because even though we had a cost of a new customer that was higher than we would like, and we're a little off of our new customer order number, we were able to do almost 70 more, or we were able to do 25 more repeat orders than anticipated. And our first time orders were still contributing slight amounts of profit. So by adding those additional repeat orders, having a higher repeat rate than anticipated, we were earning more contribution. Because for Bamboo Earth, we're trying to basically be first order break even, which is zero contribution. So all those repeat orders are just pure incremental contribution to the business. So we can see our performance across all of our channels, our email, which SKUs we are selling. But ultimately, this shows us the actual contribution margin versus expectation. And we can look at this not just on the daily basis, but on the entire month as well. Beyond that, if we want to actually look at contribution margin broken out as its own report, we can look at, go to month, this month, break it into daily. You can see our contribution line itemed out: order revenue, refunds, cost of goods. That's our gross margin. This is our cost of delivery. This includes all of our fulfillment, shipping, pick, pack, etc. Ad spend into a daily contribution margin view. And we can heat map this to see which days are our best from a contribution margin standpoint. And there's always this question, okay, where do these numbers come from? Where do the costs come from? Well, first we pull in the actual cost of each SKU, inputted either if the client or partner inputs their numbers in Shopify, we automatically port those in through the API. Otherwise, you can manually adjust the costs. And then you can add any incremental layers to your contribution margin calculation in here in the settings, where you can go into the contribution margin calculation and you can add a percentage of sales. So let's say you had a royalty fee, or maybe you have a partner that's on a revenue sharing agreement. You can add a percentage of sales. You can add a dollar figure per order. Maybe you have a $2 pick fee per order, or you could add a monthly cost. Some customers want to add their agency fee or some influencer marketing costs into their monthly fixed costs. You add those in, and they will automatically then show up in this contribution margin overview report. And so this helps you to get as close to the daily contribution expectation as you can for the business. And so at any moment, we're able to use this target, this contribution dollar number as the primary driving mechanism. And here's Bamboo Earth this month is a perfect example of why it's so important that this be the first and foremost goal. Is that if you look at these earlier indications, if you were to take contribution margin off the table, you'd see that sales were about 8% above target, spend were about 8% above target, and MER were basically right on target. But contribution margin is almost 60% over expectation. Well, why is that, Taylor? How are sales and spend only at 8%? Well, it's because of this. It's that the composition of that revenue is comprised more of repeat customers than we anticipated. We're slightly actually behind our new customer expectation. You can see the efficiency of our new customer acquisition slightly behind for the month, about 10% behind. So we're about 300, again, just under 10% behind how many first customer orders we anticipated, but we're way ahead our repeat customer rate. Our cohorts from November and December are actually outperforming our expectation. And for Bamboo Earth, again, new customers are contribution break even, but repeat orders are actually way ahead. And this is why you can never just have one revenue goal or one spend goal or even an MER goal. You have to look at all of these things together to really understand how your business is getting to where it is. So, by contribution dollars leading the way, then having a and revenue expectation, an MER expectation, and then a customer level expectation from new and repeat customers, we're able to identify why the business is succeeding and what adjustments we can make along the way. So, this is a really powerful process to helping you understand how to ultimately put more dollars in your pocket around contribution. So, if you haven't used Statlas, if you haven't tried this out, I would encourage you, statlas.io, get in here. I'd be happy to walk you through a demo of how we could get you set up, ensuring that you could track your daily contribution margin. And if you haven't built a growth map or understood how we build sort of P&L level forecasts for brands, I would check out the Enterprise Scaling Guide on commonthreadco.com. It's a great resource that will help you if you don't have a forecasting methodology for how you build and plan for your business to have every dollar, every day, an expectation that forms the foundation of this process. I would check that out now to get started on that process. So, very powerful way for us to understand what is our contribution margin expectation every day, track against that performance. When we're ahead, what can we do to squeeze more? When we're behind, what levers do we need to do to adjust? So hopefully that helps you think about how to track contribution margin on a daily basis and go out, put more dollars in your pocket.